A very good morning to one and all. I'm Anjali Shrotriya, and this year I have secured rank 44th in UPSC Civil Services examination. This was my fourth attempt and my second interview with the UPSC. And I'm very delighted that I had geography as my optional subject for all the mains and during my entire course of preparation. And I've scored 263 marks in my first attempt of mains in 2020. And this year I've secured 276 marks. And I think that I have spent a considerable amount of time with this particular subject. And so I wish to share my strategy, my learnings, the mistakes which I committed, and the lessons that I learned in geography, especially over the course of entire 4 years. And through this medium, I wish to also address all the myths that are surrounding the geography optional these days. Coming down to the very first myth, that is that geography is not yielding marks. And there's a perception which is created in the student community that probably geography is one subject that a lot of students take, and so it's very difficult and it's not scoring at all. I would like to say that you just need a right mentor, a right strategy, and obviously lots of answer writing practice. And geography is definitely the subject that is going to help you not just in scoring good in your optional, but otherwise in your GS papers also it is going to reflect very, very nicely. So first, if you have taken a geography optional, or if you're thinking also to take geography as an optional, please do not have this fear in your mind that geography is something which will not give you marks, or you have taken a subject that is very, very big and syllabus is huge and it's mammoth. So first of all, have a very positive mindset that having taken geography, it's going to become one of your strengths. And only with this mindset, start preparing for geography as an optional. Coming down to the very second point and most important point in the entire preparation journey of your optional as well as otherwise as well as the syllabus. Syllabus is the key to UPSC mains examination. And for geography, we have a very well-defined syllabus and we only need to stick to the syllabus. The syllabus, as I have written here also, we have paper 1 and paper 2. And paper 1 is mostly world geography and paper 2 is Indian geography. So when we talk of paper 1, we have geomorphology, environment geography, bio, climato and oceanography, and this comprises the physical geography part of geography. And then we have the human geography where we have thoughts, which is perspectives, models, regional planning, economic geography, and population and settlement. Now, this comes under section A of the paper and this comes under the section B. And in the original scheme of the things, we have to attempt at least one question from each of the sections, which means that both the sections need to be prepared well in advance so that you can answer those questions. Now, there's one thing that is in the student community also prevalent, that if you attempt more from the section B, which is human geography, you'll get more marks and you'll get less marks when you attempt it from physical geography. This is also one of the myths. And I have attempted this year from section A 2 questions, that is from physical geography I chose 2 questions and from human 1 question, and I've got more than 140 marks in my paper 1, which is a decent score in geography. So I would say that please do not go in the examination hall with some preconceived notions that I'm going to attempt only human part more and physical part less. Decide on the spot. So preparation has to be complete A to Z so that whatever question comes, you're able to answer that. And when you see the question paper, then take a call whether you have to attempt which part and whether you have to leave which part. So let it be decided for the examination day. While preparing, do not have a bias that you're going to prepare more on physical or human. Prepare it completely and thoroughly. Coming to the sources, many people are confused what books to read. So I would say that whatever foundation classes you are going to appear for, attend those very religiously. In all the foundation classes across, I've seen that the teachers cover approximately 80 to 90% of the syllabus. Entire syllabus can't be covered because it's very huge, and also I think after a certain point, spoon feeding is not essential, especially in UPSC. So most of the syllabus is taken care of in the foundation classes itself. I did my foundation classes in Delhi itself when I was preparing here. Then I've also done my foundation classes and have also seen all the videos of Adhyaps are also at IASBABA, and that helped me clear my concepts to a very great extent, especially in physical geography. So while I come to physical geography, I would like to highlight that this is one area of geography which is very, very certain, in the sense that it is very conceptual. There are theories here, there are a lot of geographers here, and there are a lot of things to understand. So once you understand these theories, there is nothing that you want to mug up, or there's nothing that you can't understand. So once you understand it, it becomes very, very easy to write in the exam. And in the exam, we need to write the keywords, and we need to write it in our own words. We need to only mention those keywords which the geographers have given and their names. Apart from that, physical geography is one area where there's a lot of scope to draw diagrams. And when diagrams come into your paper, it reflects two important things. One is the presentation becomes very beautiful, and that makes your copy stand out from others. So good diagram always shows good students. And secondly, diagrams are the heart of geography. Geography is incomplete without maps, without diagrams. So physical geography is one area which will give you ample of scope to draw diagrams. So prepare this part very, very well. So in your foundation classes, you will be taught all these topics, and beautiful diagrams will be drawn. In Adhyap sir classes, I really took up diagrams of isostasy, plate tectonics. He makes you draw all the diagrams. So I picked up those diagrams also. I practiced them also. So whichever classes you're attending, you can have those in your copies. Talking about the books, apart from the class notes, what one can do is for extra reading, I refer to Savinder Singh's book. So Savinder Singh is something that you can refer for the physical geography part. But even for that, I would say that since the book is very bulky, so only refer to those parts which are mentioned in your syllabus. So go topic wise and see one particular topic and try to cover that only from the book. Do not read the book cover to cover, because it is a very bulky book. It will become very difficult to read every topic. So what you can do is buy separate books of Savinder Singh. I am saying separate books because for options we need to have a separate book. So I bought separate books, but I studied them very selectively. In geomorphology in Savinder Singh, there are beautiful diagrams of landforms. Copy those diagrams of landforms into your own copy, and probably read all the theories after you have done your classes. Once the classes are over, you can go to the book, you can read it again, get a good idea in fair detail, and then you can make your own synopsis or short notes, which will help you. So whenever your classes are done, a very important part is short notes and note making. Whatever notes are there in the class, they are in a bigger form, so as to make you understand them. When you have to write and replicate that in exam, you need to compress it. So always make synopsis, always make it very short. If the notes are compressed to 25% of what is being taught in class, those are the real notes. So try to make the notes to 1/4 of their length whenever you are sitting for revision. That is most important part. And try to have a separate diagram copy for physical geography, especially where you can have all the diagrams at one place. I used to have 2 copies for diagrams, one for physical geography and one for human geography. So whatever diagrams you are drawing and practicing, have it in a copy so that you will have it for always. Secondly, I would also like to highlight on the human geography part. Now, this is one area where most people are comfortable with. Most people also like to study this part because it's not about rote learning. It's also about general understanding. The most important part is perspective, which is the thoughts. I would say most important part in geography. And as many people have said, if you know perspectives, it gives a very good impression when you write a question on perspective and you write it in a correct manner. So it's very important that you read and understand perspectives very nicely. And I think teachers explain it in a very nice manner. If you have a very good teacher to explain your perspectives, your life becomes very, very easy. Apart from that, to add on with your class notes, what you can do is you can refer to a book of R.D. Dixit for perspectives, and even Majid Hussain sir's books. These are good books where they have taught about perspectives. Again, I would say before making notes out of these books, especially perspectives is a difficult topic, try to read it 3 to 4 times from the book itself and then make short notes out of these books. Also in perspectives, it's very important that we write whatever is written or whatever is being taught in the same language. Language is very important in perspective. So try to maintain that language of the perspectives, especially in your paper as well. So that will give a good impression. The names of the geographers, especially the spellings, their names, the names of the book, the year in which they have given their particular thought, it's very, very important that it should be correct. So in perspectives, what I did was I made a list of all the geographers that we have studied in perspective, the different schools they belong to, and in a tabular form, I compiled them all and I used to paste that before my table. So in short, I had a list of all the geographers from the perspective section and I used to keep it before my table so that I'm able to ingrain the names of those geographers in my notebook as well. Second comes models. Models and theories is also very, very important topic when it comes to geography. A very, very simple topic. There are certain number of models and theories that you need to prepare and the question will come from there itself. Very static topic. It is covered in most of the classes also, whichever class you take. Apart from that, Majid Hussain sir's book also covers models and theories in good detail. With models and theories, be prepared with the objective of the theory, the person who has given the theory, that is geographer again, the name of the book, the year in which he has given that particular theory, what are the assumptions of the theory is very, very important. The hypothesis of the theory, the postulates of the theory, diagrams that are associated in the theory, application and relevance of the theory in the modern world, in India as well, you have to prepare, and the criticisms of the theory and any improvements if were done to that particular theory. On these lines, every theory can be prepared and in 2 pages, every theory can be compressed. So that part can be done and this is a very good question. Every year a question or 2 is asked on models and theories and if you are able to give a good answer to that, you will get good marks in models and theories. So it's a very, very good mark scoring area when it comes to models. Then we have regional planning. Regional planning is also a very easy topic. There are certain principles in regional planning that we study about. Those can be done from D.R. Khullar's book. Apart from that, some part of region is also covered in your perspectives and some part of region I did from Rupa Made Simple. That is also a good book from where you can do regional planning and your class notes will suffice for this particular topic. Do see the previous year questions. What are UPSC people asking when it comes to questions on regional planning? This is a little neglected area, but one should prepare nicely on this as well. Then comes population and settlement. I will deal with economic geography later. Population and settlement is very, very important. Here you have to prepare all the attributes of population, for instance, literacy rate, geriatrics population, or fertility rate, sex ratio of the world. Have all the data at one place on a world map. Read the UNDP reports, try to know what the UNDP population reports are telling and try to include that perspective in your answers. All the theories of population, be it Malthus, Marx, J.S. Mill, Arsene Dumont, all these theories should be on your tips when you study for population and settlement. Similarly, for settlement also, there is no particular book which is there for settlements. I read it mostly from my class notes, whatever base I had, and I built upon that itself. And I also saw the previous year questions which are there in population and settlement. Again, a very easy area, but has to be prepared. It should not be left at all. And similarly, in economic geography, most of the topics here are not mentioned in any book. So what you need to do is take one topic, whatever is mentioned in economic geography, and Google search it and prepare 1 or 2 pages under economic geography. Certain topics like limits to growth, these need to be prepared because questions have been asked on them. They are given in Majid Hussain sir's book. From there, it can be prepared or from any of the classes that you have been attending. This will complete your entire paper 1. For paper 1, I would like to focus again on 2 things. In fact, for both the papers, which is your previous year questions have to be the guide where you can see that what questions are being asked by UPSC under a certain topic. So you'll come to know that there are certain areas which UPSC has its favorite. Those need to be prepared very well. Apart from that, UPSC has also not touched certain areas. Those also need to be prepared. So we need to go with full preparation, but we need to prioritize as well at the same time. Apart from PYQs, you need to also prepare a tabular form where all the names of all the geographers is mentioned and the names of the book, so that at the last moment we are able to revise all the geographers and make our answers look more academically profane and sound. So that is very, very important. Coming to paper 2 of geography, this is mostly Indian geography. it has physical geography. So there is one book which is D.R. Khuller. It's a good book for paper 2. Most of the topics are covered in this book, especially the static part. Plus, I referred R.C. Tiwari for certain topics, not essential. If you don't have the book, it's absolutely okay. D.R. Khuller will also suffice. So the static part of all these can be prepared from Khuller. Now comes the dynamic part in paper 2, because paper 2 is mostly dynamic. It is about whatever is happening around our own selves. So what I did was, all the topics that were not mentioned in the book, or that were in current affairs but not covered in the classes very well, I used to Google them. I used to make my own short notes of it. Plus, I had India maps ready for every topic of the syllabus. So prepare India maps very well. You can compress the maps. Always have only 3 legends in your map: high, medium, and low. These are the 3 portions that your map needs to be bifurcated in, and you need to only mark those pointers. So keep your map very, very simple, but at the same time have maps in your answers. This is going to give you marks. So you can have all these things. I had my own notes. I had prepared them in a very short and a very crisp format. You can prepare them. Apart from that, see again the previous year questions, which will tell you that how UPSC is asking the dynamic and the current affairs part and linking it with your static part. The more knowledge of paper 1 that you use in paper 2, it will give an added advantage. For instance, if there's a question that on Indian population, asking that what is the trend of India's migration in India, there you can mention about the population theory of Ravenstein, that as the distance increases, migration decreases. And this is seen in Indian context as well, where we have more of rural to rural migration, or inter-district migration is more as compared to intra-district migration is more as compared to inter-district or interstate migration, because of Ravenstein's law. So you are integrating your paper 1 with paper 2, which gives examiner a very good idea that you have understood the theory and you are applying it very well. So that gives a very good impression on the examiner. So try to have that in your mind. Whenever there's a question on Indian Ocean region, try to include the perspective that it was the Spikeman theory that said that it is not the heartland, but it is the rimland, which is all of which Indian Ocean is also a part, and that is coming now into the picture. That is very, very important when we deal with paper 2. Such kind of interlinking is important. Diagrams and maps are important. And I think this is the base along with the foundation and the notes. Apart from that, there is no need to read any particular book for either paper 1 or paper 2. What I would say is that there are certain pointers which will help you increase your marks. The very first, as I've already mentioned, the previous year questions. What I used to do was, I had one person, a friend of mine who was also preparing, and he had geography optional. A group can be made of 2 or at max 3 people, and all of 3 can discuss and brainstorm all the PYQs, write the points and share it across if you're not writing full length answers. That will help you to have fodder for every question that UPSC has asked in the past 25 years. This is a very, very important exercise, and you need to do it with your friends, because alone it becomes little difficult. Then prepare a tabular form and write down all the geographers that you know from all the topics, not just from perspectives and models, but in regional planning we study many geographers. Even in population and settlement, there are names of many, many geographers and academicians that we study, the names of many books we come across. Similarly, in geomorphology, there are a lot of theories that are mentioned. So there was a question on isostasy this time, and in my short notes, I had written isostasy as a topic, and I had written the years, and the concept was given by Dutton, and then I had written 4 geographers which were related with the theory of isostasy, and I mentioned all those in my paper. So that gives a very good impression to the examiner that yes, you are very, very sound with your static part. After that, there is map work in geography, which comes off 20 marks, and this is the most neglected part, I think, in the exam, because we never prepare for it. So in my opinion, what you can do for map is that whenever you are preparing for map, we don't have to exactly pinpoint the location. It's important that it should be somewhere around, but approximation is allowed in UPSC, firstly. And secondly, all the previous year questions of maps that have been asked, you can have a book and you can mark all those locations and prepare certain short points on those locations that have been asked. Before the mains examination, different coaching institutions come out with the different map locations that have been in use. So around 50 to 100 locations are given by each coaching institution. So you will have around 300, 400 locations, out of which I think at least 5 would be covered. So that is safe. And along with that, some 2-3 locations you would know. So 8 out of 10 locations is a very good score in exam if you are able to manage 8 locations out of 10. Nobody, if you can manage 10 on 10, it's nothing better than that. But don't run after all the 10. Even if you're doing it, it's very, very good. And prepare some basic pointers of what you're going to write on a location. For instance, there was a location called as Mahu, M-H-O-W, Mahu. Now, when I had to mark, I knew that this is in Madhya Pradesh. Now, when people have doubts that what are we going to write about it. So it's very, very easy. Your syllabus is again the guide. First of all, when you talk of the physical geography, there is important is first the location of Mahu, which is in western Madhya Pradesh near to Indore. Then write out any famous personality associated with Mahu, which you can remember, which is Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar ji, was the birthplace of him. Then bring geography in your answer. That Mahu is also the area from where the river Chambal near Janapao Hill, it originates. This is what you're bringing geography. Write down if it has a very peculiar kind of a climate. So it is in the Malwa Plateau. So there is it is continentally, it is dry or something mentioned that sort. After writing the physical geography, do not forget the human geography part of it. So do mention about the people, the occupation, the industries which are around it. And towards the end, you can write that it is a growing town, it is a cantonment area, army and artillery and etc. is also mentioned here. So 4 to 5 points from physical, or 3 points from physical, 3 points from human, and your description of the map work is done. Similarly, you can do for other locations as well. So this is a very good mark fetching area. Please don't leave it. Also, it is the first question of your paper 2. It gives a very good impression. If your map work is solid, examiner has an idea that he's going to check a copy of a serious candidate. The second part in geography, which is very, very important, is about the diagrams. Diagrams are the heart and soul of geography. Without diagrams, there is no geography. I had a rule that in every 10-mark question, I have to draw at least 1 diagram. In every 15-mark question, I will draw at least 2 diagrams. And in every 20-mark question, I will draw at least 3 diagrams. So when you have good diagrams, good maps in your answers, it gives a very good appeal to your first of all to your paper and the examiner, whoever is checking, and secondly it also shows that you have put in your efforts and everybody likes that. So you will get good marks if you're drawing good and relevant diagrams. Always label your diagrams, always mention the figure number, write down what is the diagram about, and do proper labeling of the diagram, which is very, very essential. If you have a very good speed and if you can draw diagram with a pencil, nothing better than that. But even diagrams with pen are allowed in UPSC because there's a lot of time crunch. So I used to draw it with pen, but if you can draw with pencil, it's more good. In map work, please remember that use colored pencils. So if there's a river or a tributary asked, use a blue color for that. Similarly, if there's a trench asked, draw upside down triangle. If there's a hill, then we draw a triangle which is pointing upwards. So there are certain, I would say certain keys for every location that is asked. You should be knowing those and the color schemes as well. That is very important, which gives a good impression. Then coming to introductions and conclusions. For majority of the topics in geography, you can have your introductions and conclusions prepared beforehand. For example, if there's a question on migration, like I always thought that I will start with according to Zelensky, and then I'll start my question on migration because Zelensky had said something about migration. So you can prepare your ready-made introductions and conclusions. Why this is important is it will help you save your time. Similarly, if there's a question on isostasy, I had in my mind that I'm going to start it with this and I'm going to end it by using the plate tectonics theory and what plate tectonics talks about isostasy. If there's a question on biodiversity hotspots, then what am I going to write in the introduction about how India is one of the major hottest of the biodiversity hotspots and mega biodiverse nations, and towards then I'm probably going to write about how biodiversity is under a threat, and IPCC 6 report mentions about it. So always have introductions and conclusions prepared in your book, and by book I mean write it down very systematically on 1 page, introduction and then conclusion. Just for important topics you can do that. Then case studies. This is something which people collect. I would say that you don't need to read certain specific things for case studies. Whatever newspapers we are reading, we will find case studies from there. For instance, there was a lot of incidences of heat waves in the past months. You can quote those as case studies in France, in Germany, even in India, in Delhi and other areas of Rajasthan, Gujarat as case studies. And probably in case studies, whenever you make case studies, always draw a map. For example, if I want to show that this is the area where heat waves are mostly prevalent, Rajasthan and mostly Gujarat. So I can shade this particular area and I can write just heat waves like this, a small map, and then I can give the description of my case study here. So it gives a very good look to your answer also, and you also have a case study. Always box it. It's very important. Don't read any separate stuff for case study. If you have a lot of time, you can refer to down to earth magazines and you can include some case studies from that. Otherwise, I think newspaper and the general current affairs for general studies will help you to get good case studies for geography also. Similarly, for current affairs and geography, nothing extra has to be read. If you are consistent and thorough with your newspaper readings, it will help you suffice, and one or two magazines probably will help you cover the current affairs portion as well. Last is the answer writing part, which is very, very important part in geography. What differentiates a good copy from an average copy is the way you write it. And that comes when you have a lot of answer writing practice. With me, it happened that I was not able to clear my prelims, and in those subsequent 2 attempts, I did a lot of answer writing and I got it checked also. So I had very good mentors because of whom I got my answers checked, and I knew the format in which I need to present my answers. I wrote around 700 to 800 answers alone of geography, which included previous year questions, which included current affairs based questions, which included even tougher questions. And so I was so thorough in answer writing that I never bothered writing any, main test series or anything, because I knew that I had done answer writing very well. So what is important in answer writing is prepare all the previous year questions and keep them as your base source for answer writing. There need to be a structure that you need to make for answer writing. If I want to talk about answer writing, so I would say that whatever is the question in answer writing, first of all, have a proper format. There has to be an introduction. If you can give a contextual beginning to your answer, nothing better than that. In contextual, you can mention any names of report like the IPCC report, UNDP report, and population answers. Or if there's a static question, let's say on plate tectonics, then you can mention the name of the geographers who have given that particular theory, in which year and in which book, and what have they said about this. So either an academic or a contextual introduction or even a definitional introduction is a good introduction for that matter. If nothing, then you can also write about definition. This will be the introduction part. Then always have a schematic in your answer. This is also something that my teacher taught me, that in schematic what you can do is that you can always have a diagrammatic form of representation. So first is introduction, then is some diagrammatic form of representation. In diagram, if there is a map, then please include a map. Map can be of India, map can be of world. If there is no map possible, try to include some schematics. By schematics, I mean any kind of flowcharts if you can make, or if you can depict something diagrammatically also, that also can be done. So that will be some kind of pictorial representation in your answer. Then the third part, that has to come will be addressing the body. That is, in the body you have to break the question in as many subparts as possible. So don't write 3.1, 3.2, but for your own understanding, I'm saying that if you're able to break the question in as many subparts, then it becomes very easy for the examiner to check. So always break your question in subparts and try to write the answers to those subparts and box those subparts like this, so that your answer gives a visibility to the examiner. So when you're boxing and when you're writing these kinds of headings, like if you're writing something about, there was a question on how the concept of isostasy and continental drift led to the development of plate tectonics theory. If I have to write this question, I'm going to divide it into 3 parts. One part I'm going to write that what is the connection of isostasy and plate tectonics, and then I'm going to write my answer. Then in the second part, I'm going to write how continental drift theory and plate tectonics are related. And in the third part, I'm also going to mention that how or what is the current development in plate tectonics. So I've written 3 parts and I've boxed it and I've addressed it adequately. And do not forget, after you have written your body, the conclusion to the answer. So in the conclusion to your answer, what you can do is either you can give some current affairs based conclusion. If a question is on heat waves, then probably you can write down the incidences of heat waves that the world has seen, or what the IPCC 6th assessment report is talking about heat waves. If not a current affairs based conclusion, then some conclusion which talks about solution. If there's a question on, let's say, urban floods, then what has the NDMA in its guidelines proposed as solutions, or what are the best practices across the world. So some future visionary kind of solution can be proposed. If not a solution to in the conclusion, then probably you can have a simplistic conclusion with India as a reference. So you can also bring an India aspect towards the end in your conclusions, that how a particular event is going to impact India. Or if a question is coming on, that monsoons are becoming more erratic, so you can also link it that how monsoons are interlinked with the phenomena which is happening in Atlantic and Pacific, and you can take it towards the world. So even vice versa can be done. So India or world, you can have a conclusion which can relate to both of that. The meaning of all of this and answer writing is that your answer will look more structured, and the examiner will also realize that you have answered all the subparts and will get marks accordingly. And you will have all the diagrams also in your place. Mind you, you have to draw one diagram here, one diagram here, one diagram here. In conclusion, if any diagram is possible, you can also draw that. So with all of this, and I think it's the bare minimum that you do in geography, and you easily get at least 275 to 80 marks. Beyond this, it is also the day that matters. It is also your execution, and you can also cross 300. It's not a very big deal. What is the plus point in geography is that you have to learn up a lot of things, but once you learn, it's all done. And there's a lot of scope for innovation, and innovation will always give you marks. So nothing is there in books when it comes to paper 2, and even for application based question, it's all in your mind, and it's your innovation that will give you and fetch you more marks. There's also one question that is test series for geography. I would say that if your writing speed is not good, if you're not confident on answer writing, please do join a test series and get your answers checked by your teachers, especially in those places where you're able to approach teacher. So the best part is that if you're able to get a feedback, one-on-one feedback, that helps you more to understand where you are lacking. For me, I was associated with Athyap sir in my third attempt in 2020. He checked my papers and he told me very minute things about answer writing, like to use a pencil, or probably for map pointing, that what are the different keys when we draw a map, or how to answer the questions. He went through the papers and he was kind enough to tell me that. In my fourth attempt, I was a part of the foundational course of geography, where I saw the videos, and I actually made out notes of all the different difficult topics which I found in geography, for which I was not able to get a source in the book or in my class notes previously. So my preparation was made very, very easy with those foundational classes. I learned a lot. Sir will give you directly the introduction to most of the things. Beautiful diagrams and case studies is one thing that is very, very novel and innovative in Sir's classes, which I learned. I remember there were certain questions that were directly diagrams that I drew in my copy, and I also replicated in my exam, like the question on landslides which came. There was a very good diagram that Sir had given, so I replicated that same diagram. So there is no need to run after material. There's a lot of content on geography available, but fix your sources and your teachers, and trust your teachers. They are definitely going to guide you very, very well. There's the foundation program, which is going to begin for geography optional soon on 11th of July. And if any of you is yet to begin their preparation and they're looking for something good on geography and something to rely on, the classes are a very good source. I have referred to them myself and I have benefited a lot, especially for difficult topics like thoughts, perspectives, geomorphology, which seems never ending. And even for many simpler topics, you will get many, many novel ideas and new ideas of how to present your answers. Approachability is something that is very unique with Sir. You can always get your answers checked from him. You can always ask him your doubts, and he's always there 24/7 to reply to your doubts. So that is a very, very plus point which I find with these classes. So if you are interested to go for geography option, I think these foundation classes will definitely serve you. Along with that, I was also a part of the test series with sir. So I was not able to write many tests because I had already done a lot of answer writing. What I did was I went through the solutions of all the tests, and from there I picked up good content. For instance, there was a question on, I think, ecotourism this time, and it was fortunately in one of the tests solutions also. So from there I was able to benefit. So the content in the test series, the solutions of test series, I went through them diligently this time, and it also benefited me a lot. So foundation classes plus test series, it is going to give you a very good base. But please do remember that it will be a road that only you and you will have to walk on. Others might walk it with you, but it's you who ultimately will walk that. So you might have good guidance, good teachers, but unless and until one puts efforts from their own end, it is not going to be fruitful. So the effort, real effort, has to come from you and you itself. You have to read the basic books. You have to make your own notes. The dirty work has to be done. Answer writing has to be done. The classes have to be attended very, very diligently, regularly. And the synopsis and the short notes of the classes same day has to be made. And answer writing has to be done. If all these things are done regularly, I would say for an year, geography is something which will help you out in your optional. It will help you out in GS1 geography. It will help you in GS3 agriculture, disaster management, environment ecology, and to some extent even in your essay papers as well. So with this, I wish to end the lecture, and I wish to give a very best of luck to all the aspirants, especially the geography aspirants. And I wish to say that geography is a very good optional. Please have faith, and please be very, very confident and positive. If you have taken geography optional, it's a very good subject, and you will learn a lot in geography. Thank you.